The Tories thought it might make the crucial difference. And maybe it did. Campaign battle buses have long ferried party leaders round the country. But this was new. A fleet of coaches to bus rank-and-file volunteers to battleground seats.
The plan was called Battle Bus 2015. The idea was that in the final 10 days of the campaign, Tory activists would be bussed from the safe constituencies to the marginal seats. There were 4 buses in all, which were carrying almost 100 party workers. A bus each in the southwest and in the Midlands, 2 smaller ones for the north.
Battle Bus is part of a pattern of Conservative election spending we've been exploring for 3 months now. First in South Thanet, where we found an undeclared £18,000 spent on hotels. Then fighting UKIP in the Newark, Clacton and Rochester by-elections. Tens of thousands more in undisclosed spending.
I think we've spent everything exactly according to the rules.
Tonight we visit the southwest, where the election was won, examining how the Tories wiped out their coalition partners. And I went there on a blue bus of my own. Channel 4 News has uncovered evidence that the Battle Bus 2015 campaign cost the Tories at least £60,000. Most of it went on more than 1,000 nights of accommodation. £38,000 never declared to the election authorities.
I'm on the bus.
I'm on the bus.
I'm on the bus.
I'm on the bus.
The Tories insist Battle Bus was totally part of their national campaign, and the cost was included on their national spending return. But we've found evidence the volunteers were working for local candidates, even giving out their leaflets. By law, all spending on a local campaign must be declared by the candidate, and the figure is strictly capped.
Make sure you get on the bus with Battle Bus 2015.
Battle Bus 2015 was dreamt up by Mark Clark, the man known as the Tatler Tory. Clark strongly denies recent accusations. He bullied a young activist who later committed suicide. Clark devised a plan to supply dozens of extra volunteers to key seats in the final days of the campaign. An email we've obtained shows the strategy was agreed by the Tory top brass. Party chairman Lord Feldman and his then co-chairman Grant Shapps, chief strategist Linton Crosby and number 10 political secretary Stephen Gilbert. So to the southwest, where the Tories won 14 seats, all from the Lib Dems. In all, Battle Bus visited 9 southwest constituencies in the last 10 days, including North Cornwall.
Scotland, the Conservative Party candidate, 21,000.
The bus brought up to 50 activists here on the 5th of May, just 2 days before polling. David Cameron came that day too, and even gave a pep talk on the Battle Bus.
And Scott will be a fantastic member of Parliament. Yeah. So thank you for coming. And this is I think we can do it.
Among those on the bus enthused by Cameron was Mahir Katan, who, like many fellow passengers, did pay a small contribution towards the cost of the trips. He's proud of his role in wiping out the Lib Dems across the region.
We changed the map in southwest of England.
You changed the map?
Yeah. We changed it from a different party to be a blue for Conservative.
Another email we've seen shows that when Mr. Katan and fellow battle bussers went door to door that day, the local party gave them leaflets and Conservative HQ provided a script.
And this is that script. Hi, Mrs. Jones. My name's Michael Crick, and I'm calling on behalf of Scott Mann, your Conservative candidate. As you know, it's election day on Thursday. Everyone's talking about how this seat is one of just 23 we need to win to make sure David Cameron is in number 10 working through our long-term economic plan. A vote for anyone else in North Cornwall will mean Ed Miliband held to ransom by the SNP. And if Mrs Jones wasn't in, she got this leaflet with David Cameron on one side, Scott Mann on the other. And in small print at the bottom, it says promoted by his agent.
Remember, the Conservatives insist Battle Bus was a national expense. But Electoral Commission guidelines state if activists were being bussed in to particularly campaign for a candidate, then, according to the guidance that we provide, a candidate would have had to make a fair and honest assessment of this and include that in their spending return. So, we looked at Scott Mann's spending return. It makes no mention of the specially branded coach, which cost £1,133 a day. The Tories declared that as a national, not a local expense. No mention either of the Eden Project Youth Hostel, where the volunteers stayed that night. The cost, we've discovered, was £1,083, not declared at all. Had all these costs been disclosed, Mr Mann's campaign would apparently have spent more than £2,000 over the legal limit. Scott Mann overturned a majority in North Cornwall of almost 3,000 for the Liberal Democrats. Now they're crying foul.
Well, it's very sophisticated. It seems very coordinated. It almost seems like a group of mercenaries come down and invaded our local community and other local communities down in the southwest.
But don't Liberal Democrats do the same thing when things get tight? You'll all go off to some constituency up in the Midlands or wherever?
Yes, but funded in by our own pockets, not by people up in the city and up in London. We're a small party of local, dedicated, community-based people. Whatever happens here or happens where we go, be it somewhere else in the country, it's funded out of our own pockets. The rules are there to give everyone a level playing field. And if we don't all abide by it, it doesn't matter which party, then as far as the people are concerned, politicians are not trustworthy.
Thank you very much.
Legal responsibility for the Tory spending return lies with Scott Mann, the candidate, and his agent.
Thank you very much.
Mr Mann told us, my election agent made a return of my election expenses as required by law. The party's national bus tour was authorised and paid for by Conservative HQ. It was intended to promote the party's success in the general election and did not form part of my local election expenses. Mr Mann may not be the only Tory with questions to answer about the cash spent on making them MPs. Battle busser Mahir Katan says that in every seat they largely worked for particular candidates.
When we travel to any constituency, we're talking about the same candidate, and we encourage the people to voting for the candidate, our candidate, not to thinking about that we have to talking about the Conservative or we have to talk about the Prime Minister or the Cabinet. No, we're talking about this person, what he's going to do if he won this, if he win his seat.
So you were encouraged to talk about the particular local candidates.
Exactly.
And were told all about them so that you would know who you were talking about.
Yes.
If, as Mahir Katan says, the Battle Bus campaigned for specific candidates across the southwest, then the local spending return should include costs for hotels and the bus. But we can't find any mention of them. Officially, in each of the 9 seats Battle Bus visited, the Tories spent below the legal spending cap. But now, if you share out the £22,000 spent on Battle Bus in the southwest, it seems 8 of the 9 elected MPs went over the limit. Plymouth, Sutton and Devonport was the only seat not to breach the cap.
What do you think of the Conservatives spending tens of thousands of pounds in
For 3 months now, we've been asking the Tories about the money they've spent on election campaigns.
He's legged it. He's walked off the other way.
He said, come on.
Much of it seemingly undeclared. 6 weeks ago, I caught up with the Tory chairman, Lord Feldman.
Lord Feldman, did you break the law
in spending all that money on those elections?
We did everything in accordance with the rules. We've declared it fully. We're happy to explain ourselves to the Electoral Commission. I think that's the sort of proper way of dealing with it.
Today, though, the Tories told us they did make an administrative error in failing to declare the hotel bills on the national spending return. But they insist the battle bus was a national expense too, not local, and is on their national expenses. The Electoral Commission, which is already investigating our previous reports, say they'll look at any new details.